So this is the Iomega iConnect. It's a printer, server, and network attached storage all in one. So what it does is that it allows you to connect up to 4 devices, whether they are printers, hard drives, or thumb drives, and up to 4 USB ports. You can see 3 in the front here and 1 at the back. And you can connect, like I mentioned earlier, printers, hard drives, or thumb drives. And if you connect hard drives and thumb drives, you turn them into network attached storage devices, and you can actually share the files over the network or even over the internet, which I will show you later. Or if you attach a printer, you can actually share the printer over the local network itself, and it connects to the network through a Ethernet connection, a high-speed Ethernet connection. This is a T-base 1000 Ethernet port, and also built-in wireless N, so you can actually put this device anywhere that has a wireless connection, not limited by the Ethernet connection. Alright, so power goes over here, and there are actually some LEDs. There's one LED here that shows you the status of the device, whether the device is on or not, and there's individual LED lights above each USB port to show whether the device has been connected, or if the device has been safely ejected, the light will turn off. Alright, and of course there's a quick transfer button which you can program through the web interface. And the setup is actually kind of simple. All you have to do is just use the CD-ROM that comes with the package, and immediately they will help you set up the device and launch the web interface for you automatically, which I will show you right now. So let me quickly run through the features of the Iomega iConnect by showing you the web interface. There are many ways for you to actually access the web interface. You can either type in the IP address of the device itself, if you are within the local network, or if you have already shared your drive through the internet, Iomega would have provided you with a URL which you can actually use and connect it, even whether you're locally or if your iConnect is at home and you are outside of the home, as long as you have internet access, and you can actually come to this particular page itself. So as you can see, I've created a custom URL, a web URL for my iConnect device, and so I've also placed security. So the security is actually optional if you are not planning to broadcast your drive over the internet. Now I'm not sure whether you're allowed to just type http:// and then the device name if you're locally. That's because I'm behind a special DNS service which probably is giving me problems with that. So if you have a iConnect, you can give that a try. It's probably more convenient and easier to remember than an IP address. But nevertheless, this is the login screen, and I'm just going to log in. And very quickly from the home screen, you can see some of the basic features already. The search, which basically means allowing you to search files through the drives that are connected. Backup and restore, manage torrent downloads. So this is actually a built-in torrent client. Alright, there's add users, which means there's support for multiple users, as well as view printers. So it's got a printer server as well. So let's quickly take a look at the dashboard. Alright, so over here you see they will show you the total amount of space of all the drives added together, your drive information, as well as the ability to restart. So the users, over here you can see that you can actually have multiple different kinds of users. You can have an administrator user, which is yellow in color, and you have the normal users, which are actually blue. You can't really change from here. You can't set what folders they can access. You can only set things like their username and password. So that is actually done. The security for each the folders in terms of what each user can access is done through this page. Now this is a shared storage. This is basically a web-based file explorer which shows you all the drives that are connected and the files itself. So I'm just going to go through this partition right here, and I can show you that all the files, the folders and the files that is actually available here. So I'm going to go back up one level again, and I want to go back to the settings page to actually show you that if I can actually enable security for a particular partition, and when I click next, I can set which users are allowed to do what. If I choose none, this user will obviously have no access, or I can give just read access. So this is where you actually set it. So unfortunately, it turns out that as far as I can tell at least, you can only set security for a partition. You can't set it through an individual folder, which means that if you want to share a project, if you want to create your own Dropbox kind of thing for your friends, collaborating on a project or things like that, you're gonna have to dedicate an entire hard drive or a thumb drive, for this purpose, and then set the security for that. You can't, just use a existing hard drive and then, set permission for a particular folder. So it would be good if they have done that, but that's not the case right now. So that's one thing that you might want to take note of. And then let's go to the, oh yes, but before that, let's take a look at the File Explorer itself. So basically, the File Explorer lets you access into the drive itself. You can go through the folders and things like that, and it lets you open any file. All right, but whether it will display, within the browser itself is not dependent on the iConnect, but it's dependent on your browser's ability to open these files. So in this case, this is an MPEG-4 video, and what it actually does is that when you click on this link, you will load the file itself straight away. So, in this case, Firefox, I don't have a default player, or Firefox doesn't open MPEG-4 files. So when I hit this, they'll actually ask me to download the file, right? Whereas if I actually go back up one level and go to this particular folder, when I hit this, which is JPEG, which obviously, Firefox will open, it will open that JPEG file. Yeah. So that's one thing that you might want to take note of. And of course, you can just always right-click and save link as to download any file, just as you would online. So this is the interface that allows you to not just view and browse the files in your hard drives, but also, you can upload the files. You can actually add files into the folders as well. So you can also do slideshows if there are lots of pictures, and the slideshows are powered by Cool Iris, by the way, if you know what that is. Okay, now let's go through the settings and let's very quickly take a look at the features. Alright, so you got here the backup and restore. Basically, this one lets you set up the backups, and then they have several kinds of backups. They have a copy job, which is basically what it does. It schedules, you can actually schedule it to back up one drive to another drive that's connected within the iConnect itself, right? And of course, you have Time Machine. So basically, you just enable Time Machine support, and any Mac computers within the network will detect it as a possible Time Machine, device, right? And then there's Quick Transfer, which basically allows you to, set a default destination folder for quick transfer, automatic quick transfer jobs. So basically, I believe if you actually hit the quick transfer button, all right. So let's go back and take a look at, so the date and time, device setup, these stuff set up the devices. Email notifications, this is another interesting feature. Basically, the device will actually email you if there are any problems with your device. Problems such as if your Ethernet cable has been disconnected and you're still on Wi-Fi, for example, they will actually let you know that there was a problem with the connection. External storage basically allows you to see all your drives, eject them safely, languages, media services. Alright, this is an interesting one. So this media server, basically by enabling this feature, you will actually create a iTunes server, which you will be able to see through iTunes. And you'll be able to share your media across the network. So picture transfer is another interesting feature. So what it does is that, when you enable it, the moment you connect any device, any camera device or memory card that came from a digital camera, it will start to pull out all the pictures from that card and then start transferring into any destination that you want it to. The strange thing about this is that it's absolutely no prompt, and it's totally automatic, no button press or anything like that. So the problem with that is that, if you have accidentally connected your camera to the drive, to the iConnect device, or if you're intending to connect a memory card and use it as a storage device rather than a camera device, you have no ability to stop the transfer, and it will just automatically start pulling out all the pictures from the card, which means that you're not going to be able to eject the drive until the process is actually complete. So this is actually a kind of strange thing. I wish they actually allow you to push the quick transfer button to enable that to happen, but that is not the case right now. So just take note of that. Network services is where you manage all your network services, including your wireless services. Power management basically allows you to change the indicator brightness, which helps you save electricity. Printers is where you set up the printer server. One thing to know about the printer server though is that the printer server is only for local, right? You can't actually print remotely. So, what happens is that the moment you enable the printer server, along with the backup, by the way, the moment you are on your local network, so let me just show you right now. Let's say, let me just open Finder, and you can see that it will just appear as a shared device, whether on Windows or on the Mac. In fact, speaking of this, let me just show you something. If you go to Network Services, you can actually enable Apple file sharing or Windows file sharing, so that it will actually appear on both Apple and Windows networks, which is very cool. So it will actually appear in the Finder for Mac users over here, and likewise for the printers, they will be broadcast over the network. So the printer server is not actually over the internet and must be within the same local network. Remote access is where you set up the remote access, and how this is very interesting is that this device actually, Iomega has a collaboration with TZO DNS, and they give you a 1-year domain subscription of this particular web address. So you can use this particular link, which is in this case I'm using iomegalink.com, but this will expire in a year's time. And after a year, you're going to have to pay in order to continue using the domain. So the other option that you can actually do is that you can actually use your own domain. And so the other option for that is that you can actually use DYN, which is a free domain provider. Right? If you really want to do this, and it's free for life. All you have to do is just make sure you log in to your DNS account once every 30 days. And they will actually just keep your domain for you for as long as you need it to. So, or if you have your own domain, you can actually set up your own domain as well. So this is actually not much different from, a lot of devices today actually, and hard drive devices actually provide, network access through the internet. But this is the only one that's providing you a domain service as well, which is a bonus, because most people don't know what it means to actually broadcast your network device onto the internet, whereas this one actually provides you a domain so that you know what to do with it. But it doesn't mean that you are stuck with the TZO DNS service, which is a paid service. You can actually switch to your own domain if you have your own domain, or you can always get a free domain from a free provider such as DNS. So which is a great thing, which I think is which I really like about this. So that is remote access, and it's probably one of the most powerful features of the iConnect, and one of the reasons why I would actually buy one is because of how easily it allows you to actually access, to broadcast your drive onto the internet and allow your friends to actually share the drives and access the network share to actually collaborate in projects, and it's definitely much better than using something such as it's definitely much better than using something such as Dropbox, which has a lot of limitations, and there's a limit to how much you can actually share your files. So which is great. So let's carry on. So we have search, which I explained earlier, which is basically searching for files, and security, which basically enables the user accounts, and torrent download. I think this is something that a lot of people will be interested. So this device actually has its own built-in torrent client, and what it means is that it will actually be able to download torrents even when your computer is not on, which is really great. So all you have to do is just go to the home screen, manage torrent downloads, and hit on the add button. Alright, choose a destination folder. Say I'm just going to put it onto the root. Alright, and browse for a torrent file, or you can actually put in a URL of the torrent link itself, hit apply, and it will start downloading into your drive remotely, regardless from where you are, which is pretty awesome. Right? The funny thing is that email notification service I was telling you about just now does not actually send you an email when a torrent is complete. So I thought it would be kind of obvious feature, but it's actually not inside. And wouldn't it be cool if your iConnect device actually told you that, hey, your Ubuntu distribution is actually complete? So no, but it doesn't do that. So that's kind of unfortunate. And of course, last of all, you have the device update. So which is good that you can actually keep your device firmware up to date. So that was the Iomega iConnect. As you can see, it's actually quite a powerful device with some really cool features. And it's really good for small offices and home offices because it actually lets you use existing devices that you already own and just put them over the internet or over the network. And I think this was definitely much a better solution than using something like Dropbox, to share projects and documents as well. So that was the Iomega iConnect device.